Have you heard about this thing called grammar stacking? It's a thing that once you get good in Japanese, you are going to need to understand. So I want to talk about it today at the end of this video, but I need to work you through a couple sentences before we get there. Is that okay if we do that? Okay, good. Now, in a previous video, we learned how to say things like iku ka wakaranai. I don't know if I'm going to go. And we could say iku ka ikanai ka wakaranai or iku kadouka ga wakaranai. But I realized most of our sentences with that ka no ka type grammar was really just using wakaranai most of the time. So what I wanted to do is expand that a little bit and then take you through this really cool grammar stacking, which really boosts your Japanese. All right, so we've got the same scenario that we had with the wakarimasen. We're going to just use oshieru instead. Now, oshieru means to teach, but it's often used as to tell. So something ka, something no ka o oshieru would mean to tell or teach this thing. For example, itsu ga ii ka o oshiete kudasai. Itsu ga ii ka o oshiete kudasai. Which means, please tell me when is good. We don't know what the scenario is, but let's say, for example, you're trying to schedule a workman to come at your house. And they ask you, itsu ga ii ka oshiete kudasai. Please tell me when is good for you. Now, keep in mind that this o doesn't have to be there. It gets dropped quite a bit. It's always there in spirit because it's marking the thing that you want them to tell you here. What do you want them to tell you? Itsu ga ii ka, when would be good. All right, let's move to another example. Ashita ikeru ka oshiete ne. Ashita ikeru ka oshiete ne. Tell me if you can go tomorrow. Or let me know if you can go tomorrow. That would be a good other translation of oshiete ne. Let me know, okay? Ashita ikeru ka oshiete ne. Now you might be looking at this and going, wait a minute. There's an if in here, George. And I thought you said if was nara or tada form. Okay, I see your point. You're like, where is the if statement? Well, this is in English an if statement, but in Japanese, this is perfectly natural. However, when we translate it into English, English likes it to be if, so it gets translated into if. But of course, there are other grammar points. Ashita iketara oshiete kudasai would also work. Ashita ikeru nara oshiete kudasai also would translate to tell me if you can go tomorrow. But here we're talking about if you can go or not. Ikeru ka, ikenai ka. Ikeru kadouka could also be this statement. Here in the very shortened form, it's just ashita ikeru ka oshiete ne. It's English that requires it to be if. It doesn't sound right in English not making the if. And this is something that we learn in book 5. I think we might have discussed it a little bit in book 4. But when you're translating from Japanese to English and English to Japanese, sometimes you have to remove things and sometimes you have to add things on either side of that equation or else it's going to sound weird. Okay, let's do another example. どれが一番おいしいか教えてください. Maybe you went to a friend's house, they're studying to be a cook, or they have a bakery and they just came up with these new awesome donut holes, I'm assuming these are, and they said, eat all of these and then tell me, please, どれが一番おいしいか? Which one tastes the best? Tell me which one tastes best. Okay, we see how that works? So now we've got oshieru done. That's how you can use oshieru. Let's use another verb, kiku, to ask if something, okay? Ready? So it's ka no ka o kiku. Here we go. Itsu ga ii ka o kiite kudasai. Remember, the o doesn't need to be there here as well. It's there in spirit. Itsu ga ii ka kiite kudasai. What does that mean? Please ask when would be good. Now you have to assume, maybe in this conversation, the foreman of the company, the dispatcher is trying to figure out, well, when can we go and do the work on their house? When will they be available? Can you ask them, please? Itsu ga ii ka o kiite kudasai. That's what's told to the worker, and then he relays to you. He might just say, すみません, itsu ga ii desu ka? When will be good? He did exactly what he was asked. Okay. Please ask them when is good. Okay. Ready? We're getting ready to get to this grammar stacking stuff. It's coming. I promise. It's going to be fun. Or not fun. Could not be fun too. 月曜日にできるか聞きます。月曜日にできるか聞きます。Now, in this statement, the verb is not 聞いてください anymore, which would mean please ask. It's no longer a command or a request. Now it's a statement. I will ask. How do we know who will ask when we don't say watashi in a sentence like this? Well, in Japanese, they often don't have a pronoun. In English, we always have it. We need one in English all the time. So how do you handle that? Well, we've talked about this before, but when you have a statement and you don't know who is the pronoun, it's always just easier and almost always accurate to assume it's watashi. I is the person who did ask. So I will ask 月曜日にできるか if they can do it on Monday. 月曜日にできるか聞きます. I will ask if they can do it on Monday. Now, you might be asking though, there might be some people, I know there was one or two of you out there that said, wait a minute, whose Monday is this? Are you going to ask them on Monday? Or are you going to ask them if they can do it on Monday? Like, is the doing of the task on Monday or the asking on Monday? That is a super valid question. Now, often you could tell by the tone, and often the context would be the main thing we would deal with, but you could also add a little bit more into the sentence. And this is, I think, what happens a lot. And by the way, if you're talking to a Japanese person and you get confused like this, just ask them. Just don't be afraid to make that the conversation. But here we could change the sentence to be this. 月曜日に会うときにできるか聞きます. When I meet them on Monday, I'll ask if they can do it. Now, there's a much, much simpler way to do this. We could switch let's go back to this sentence here. Here's the simpler way to do it. Just put the 月曜日に directly in front of 聞きます. So you could say, できるか月曜日に聞きます. Now it means if they can do it, I'll ask them on Monday. But if you really want to know if they can do it on Monday, 月曜日に会うときできるか聞きます wouldn't mean that. That would mean when you meet them on Monday. So you have to say 会うときに月曜日できるかどうか聞きます. See how we have to flip it around? So the flipping, the order is very important in those type of sentences. Okay. I'll ask if they can do it when I meet them on Monday. All right, now let's talk about what I call grammar stacking. Now, we could call it grammar combining. It really is just a term to say a really more complicated sentence. But what we're going to do is take this thing that we know how to do with ikuka and ikeruka and all these, and we're going to combine it and stack it with other grammar to make a much more complicated sentence. If you can do this, your Japanese will expand even without learning more grammar. Let's do it. So let's take that sentence we had. Keep the same sentence, and we're going to stack at the end here. 月曜日にできるか聞くのを忘れた. I forgot to ask if they can do it on Monday. Okay? Now again, what do we do when we don't know who we're talking about? It's I. It's just I. It's a statement. And then where do you get the verb? We have 3 verbs in here. It's ask, it's can do, it's wasureru. How do you know what to throw? What is the I doing? You always go to the end of the sentence. So I forgot, and by the way, if you just keep reversing from there, I forgot to ask if they can do it on Monday. This is such a commonly cool technique when you're lost in a sentence. If you're taking like the JLPT, because this is, by the way, JLPTN4 grammar. If you're taking a test and you're lost, find out in the very beginning of the sentence who did what, who is the doer, and they go all the way to the end of the sentence, unless it's a really long sentence, because sometimes that can get convoluted. But in most sentences, that last verb is the he verbed. You just take the last verb and apply it to whoever is the topic, the speaker of the sentence, or the one we're talking about. All right? All right, so 月曜日にできるか聞くのを忘れた. I forgot to ask if they can do it on Monday. You ready to add another verb? You want to stack another one? Raise your hand if you're ready for this. Are you? Okay. And I'm alone in my bedroom here. 月曜日にできるか聞くのを忘れたと思う。月曜日にできるか聞くのを忘れたと思う。Try saying that. 月曜日にできるか聞くのを忘れたと思う。月曜日にできるか聞くのを忘れたと思う。I think I forgot to ask if they can do it on Monday. Now, by the way, we have no context, so I randomly just said I think that I forgot, but it could be I think he forgot to ask Jeff. We don't know who we're talking about here, right? So normally you would probably have a context or more people set up in the sentence, okay? 月曜日にできるか聞くのを忘れたと思う。It could be Tanaka and Jeff are talking about, or you're talking about Tanaka and Jeff. So it could be like, I think Jeff forgot to ask if Tanaka can do it on Monday is a possibility in this sense. Don't get too freaked out. This is the problem with learning just grammar and not using Japanese. Because if you're using the Japanese and this sentence came up, you'd probably know who they're talking about, okay? Here I've just translated it as, I think they forgot to ask if they can do it on Monday. And I don't know who the they is, but there's two of them. There's two theys in here. Okay, we're going to add one more though. We're not done stacking. In our final stack, here you go, ready? 月曜日にできるか聞くのを忘れたと思うと言った。Sorry, I said to because it could be a to here. Could have been a to, okay? I just happened to put a te in there. 月曜日にできるか聞くのを忘れたと思うって言った。What? We got say, think, forgot, ask, and do. Like, what verb is what? The final verb. Go backwards. I said, I think I forgot to ask if they can do it on Monday. Again, because the pronouns can be whatever. He said he thinks that Jeff forgot to ask Tanaka if they can do it on Monday. We don't know. The key part is to know the context of the sentence when you're looking at a big sentence like this, and we don't have it. This is a textbook sentence, okay? I said, I think they forgot to ask if they can do it on Monday. Okay? What do you think of that? Let me know. All right, guys, if you want to learn Japanese, if you want to boost your Japanese, you got to check out FromZero.com. And here's the plan I think you should do, okay? You go in and you do the lesson. Just do the lesson as is, leave everything as it is, and then at the end there's a quiz. You take the quiz. And then after you pass the quiz, you click your user icon and you select study mode, okay? And I can't remember which one it defaults to. I think it defaults to turning off English. Only Japanese will display. You go back to the beginning of the lesson, you go to the new words, and you see if you know the words. If you think you know it, you hover and you check. And you say it out loud, okay? Just imagine I'm in the room listening to you say it, okay? Or a cute Japanese girl or a hot Japanese guy is listening to you. So you got to say it out loud so they can hear it, okay? And then when you're done doing English hidden to where the Japanese is shown, you flip it. You click the little Jade E button and it'll flip it. And now the other side will show. So Japanese will hide and you have to figure out from the English to the Japanese, which is the harder way to do it, okay? That's what you do on FromZero.com. Check it out and let me know if you have any questions. And please, I always forget to mention this. I should have asked this earlier. Can you please subscribe? Look, guys, I'm struggling. I got to tell you, about 2 weeks ago, I was very demotivated and I thought, I'm never going to make videos again. No one ever watches them anyway because I'm not getting enough views. It bothers me. It bothers me as a professional. So could you please subscribe if you're not subscribed? Can you hit the like? And you know what? Comment. Ask me a question. I'll try to answer everything. If you have a question about this stacking, if you have a question about the sentences that I used, complaints, please, I'm asking you, help me out. Help me achieve my dream of getting a bigger following on YouTube. I appreciate it. It does. You hear it all the time. It helps the channel. All right. Thanks, guys. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.